The stars looked wrong. Deho stared at the navigation screen and felt his stomach drop. Nothing matched. Not a single constellation, not one familiar marker. The cargo freighter had been following a routine shipping lane 30 seconds ago. Now they were somewhere else entirely. "Mion, where are we?" His voice came out steady even though his hands were shaking. His sister looked up from her console. Her face was pale. "I don't know. The computer doesn't recognize anything. It's like we jumped to a completely different sector." "We didn't jump. We don't have jump capability." "I know that." Mion's fingers danced across her keyboard. "But we're 15,000 light years from where we should be. Something pulled us here." Deho took a deep breath. They were cargo pilots, nothing more. They hauled supplies between colonies for a modest living. Their ship, the Morning Star, was old and slow and completely unarmed. Whatever had happened, they needed to figure it out fast and get home. The proximity alarm screamed. "Ships!" Mion shouted. Dozens of them. 300,000 kilometers out. The view screen activated automatically. Deho's breath caught. He had never seen vessels like these before. Massive warships painted in dark red and black. Their hulls covered in spikes and weapon ports. They moved in perfect formation, predatory and efficient, and they were firing, but not at the Morning Star. The weapons fire streaked past them toward smaller ships in the distance. Those vessels were beautiful, smooth and rounded, glowing with soft blue light. They looked like living things made of crystal and hope. "They're running," Mion whispered. "Those small ships are fleeing." The beautiful ships had no weapons. They scattered like fish before sharks, but they were too slow. The dark warships pursued with mechanical precision. One by one, the glowing vessels died. Each explosion was silent in the void, but terrible to watch. "We need to hide," Deho said. He reached for the controls. "Wait." Mion grabbed his arm. "Look at the scanner. Those aren't military ships being destroyed. They're civilian transports. Families, Deho. That's not our problem. Children are dying." Deho pulled his arm away. "And we'll die too if we interfere. We have no weapons. No shields worth mentioning. We're a cargo hauler." Another explosion bloomed on the screen. Then another. Mion turned to face him. Tears ran down her cheeks. "I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But we can't just watch. What can we possibly do?" "Something, anything." She looked back at the screen. "Remember what Mom used to say? That doing nothing is still a choice." Deho closed his eyes. Their mother had died 5 years ago. She had been a teacher, kind and gentle. She would have helped. She would have found a way. "Scan for survivors," he said quietly. Mion nodded and bent over her console. Her fingers flew. "There's a debris field 200,000 kilometers away. I'm picking up life signs. Weak ones." Deho adjusted their course. The Morning Star wasn't fast, but she was reliable. They approached the debris carefully, watching the dark warships continue their massacre in the distance. A transmission crackled over their speakers. At first it was just noise, then it resolved into a voice. The language was nothing Deho had ever heard, musical and strange. But the ship's computer began translating. "Anyone who can hear this. We are the Luminar. Our colony was attacked without warning. They hunt us without mercy. If any of the Ancient Ones can hear us, please. The old stories say you were kind." "Ancient Ones?" Mion looked confused. The transmission continued. "We pray to the architects. The humans of legend, please come back. We need you." Deho and Mion stared at each other. "They're talking about us," Mion said. "About humans. That's impossible. How would they even know we exist?" "I don't know, but..." Mion's screen lit up. "Deho, I'm getting readings on their language now that I've heard more." The computer is accessing some really old files, like ancient database archives. She pulled up a document. It was dated almost 10,000 years ago. "There are records here. From the early expansion period, humans explored this region before the colonial wars. We made contact with developing species and helped them. Then we pulled back to our own space and never returned. So they remember us. After 10,000 years? More than remember." Mion pulled up another file. "They built stories about us, legends. They think we were wise builders who could perform miracles." Deho laughed bitterly. "Look at us. 2 scared cargo pilots in an old freighter. Some miracle." They reached the debris field. 3 Luminar ships floated dead in space, their beautiful hulls torn open. But one ship still had power. Deho could see figures moving inside through a shattered window. I'm hailing them, Mion said. Wait. But she had already sent the signal. The response came immediately. On the screen, a face appeared. It was alien, but somehow gentle, with large luminous eyes and skin that glowed faintly blue. The creature looked old and tired and afraid. The computer translated. Who are you? My name is Mion. This is my brother Daiho. We're human. The alien's eyes went wide. Its mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then it fell to its knees. The architects, it whispered. You came. You actually came. We're not architects, Daiho said quickly. We're just cargo pilots. We got lost, but you are human, yes? From the old legends? Yes, but... Then the prayers were answered. The alien touched its chest in what might have been a salute or a blessing. I am G1. I am elder of the Luminar Council. Or I was before our world burned. Can you save us? Daiho wanted to say no, wanted to explain that they were nobody special. Just two people trying to survive. But he looked at the destroyed ships around them. At the bodies floating in the debris. How many survivors are on your ship? He asked instead. 47. Mostly children. We can take them. Our cargo hold will fit that many. Bless you, architect. I'm not... Daiho stopped. Never mind. Mion, prepare for docking. As they worked to rescue the survivors, another ship appeared on their sensors. This one was human, a military vessel, smaller than the Morning Star but heavily armed. It looked as confused as they had been. More humans? Jiwan's voice was filled with wonder. The architects send a fleet? Daiho looked at Mion. She looked back at him. Neither of them said what they were thinking. Two human ships. Against an armada, the legends were about to meet reality. And reality was going to disappoint everyone. Part 2. The military ship identified itself as the Iron Wind. Daiho watched it maneuver toward them with professional precision. It was small, maybe half the size of the Morning Star, but every line spoke of deadly purpose. Weapon ports lined its hull like teeth. A voice crackled over the communication channel. Civilian vessel, this is Lieutenant Subin of the Earth Defense Force. What's your status? We're cargo pilots, Daiho responded. We got pulled here by some kind of spatial anomaly. You too? Affirmative. We were on patrol near the frontier zone when everything went white. Now we're here, wherever here is. A pause. Are those alien ships we're seeing? Yes, the ones being attacked are called Luminar. They're peaceful. The ones attacking are called... Daiho looked at Mion. She checked her screen. The hegemony. That's what Jiwan called them. The Luminar's translation files are helping fill in the gaps. Subin's voice turned sharp. And you've made contact with these Luminar? We're currently taking on refugees from destroyed ships. Another voice came over the channel, deeper and calmer. This is Hyunwoo. I'm a sergeant aboard the Iron Wind. Can you confirm that humans have prior contact with these species? Mion leaned toward the microphone. Ancient contact, yes. About 10,000 years ago during the early expansion, we apparently helped the Luminar develop their civilization, then disappeared. They've built legends about us, silence. Then Hyunwoo spoke again. Legends saying what? That we're wise builders. Peaceful architects who create and protect. Someone on the Iron Wind laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. Should we tell them about the colonial wars? Hyunwoo asked. Or the fact that we've been fighting each other for most of our history? Later, Subin said. Right now we need to figure out our situation. Civilian vessel, bring your refugees aboard our ship. We have better facilities. Negative, Daiho said. We're bringing them to a safe location first. There's an asteroid field nearby. We can hide there while we figure out what to do. You're giving me orders? I'm making a suggestion. We have 47 civilians aboard. Your ship is a warship. That makes us the better option for evacuees. More silence. Then Subin sighed. Fine, we'll escort you. But if those hegemony ships come after us, we can't guarantee your safety. Understood. They made it to the asteroid field without incident. The hegemony forces were busy hunting the last of the fleeing Luminar ships. Daiho guided the Morning Star into a deep canyon between two massive rocks. The Iron Wind followed, its smaller size making the tight space easier to navigate. Once they were hidden, Jiwan came to the bridge. The old Luminar moved slowly, his glowing skin dimmer than before. Behind him came other survivors. They stared at Daiho and Mion with wide, reverent eyes. I must thank you again, architects. You saved us when all hope was lost. Please stop calling us that, Daiho said. We're not special. You are human. That makes you special. Jiwan gestured to the other Luminar. We have kept the records. The stories of how your people came to our world when we were primitive. You taught us to build with metal and stone. The hegemony found them 6 hours later. Daiho was trying to sleep when the proximity alarm woke him. He stumbled to the bridge, still wearing his sleeping clothes. Mion was already there, her face lit by the red glow of warning lights. 3 ships, she said, smaller than the main fleet vessels but still bigger than us. They're doing a search pattern. How long until they find us? Maybe an hour, maybe less. Daiho opened a channel to the Iron Wind. You seeing this? Affirmative. That was Hyunwoo. Subin is sleeping. I'm on watch. What do we do? We fight. With what? We have no weapons. You don't. We do. Hyunwoo paused. I'm sending you tactical plans. Look them over. A file appeared on Mion's screen. She opened it and her eyes went wide. This is crazy, Daiho looked. The plan was simple and insane. The Morning Star would act as bait, drawing the hegemony ships into the asteroid field. The Iron Wind would be waiting in ambush. With luck, they could destroy 1 or 2 ships before the third could call for help. It's suicide, Daiho said. It's our best chance, Hyunwoo replied. Those ships are hunting for survivors. If we don't stop them here, they'll find refugee ships elsewhere. Daiho thought of the Luminar children in his cargo hold, of Jiwon's dim, fading light, of his mother's voice saying that doing nothing was still a choice. Fine, he said. We'll do it. The next 30 minutes passed in tense preparation. Hyuna, the combat medic from the Iron Wind, came aboard the Morning Star to help secure the Luminar refugees. She was young, maybe mid-20s with quick hands and a kind smile. Don't worry, she told the frightened aliens. Humans are very good at protecting people. Are you also an architect? A young Luminar named Kian asked. Yunha laughed. I'm a medic. I fix broken people. In our legends, the architects could heal anything. Well, I'll do my best. The hegemony ships entered the asteroid field. Daiho fired up the Morning Star's engines and moved into open space. Immediately, the enemy vessels detected them. Unidentified craft, power down your engines, a harsh voice demanded. Surrender and you will be processed according to hegemony law. Daiho didn't respond. He gunned the engines and dove between 2 asteroids. The Morning Star was slow, but she was maneuverable. The hegemony ships followed, their weapons charging. Come on, Mion whispered. Just a little closer. Energy beams cut through space, missing the Morning Star by meters. Daiho's hands were slick with sweat on the controls. He spun the ship around a massive rock, feeling the old hull groan under the stress. The hegemony ships entered the killing zone. The Iron Wind appeared from behind an asteroid and opened fire. Its weapons were small compared to the enemy vessels, but they were precise. The first hegemony ship exploded, its reactor breaching in a flash of blue light. The second ship tried to turn, but Hyunwoo had already anticipated it. More weapons fire, hammering into the enemy's engines. The ship went dark and began to drift. The third ship broke away, trying to escape and call for reinforcements. I got it. Subin's voice came over the radio. She sounded fully awake now. The Iron Wind accelerated, chasing the fleeing vessel. A missile launched, streaking through space on a tail of fire. The hegemony ship died. All targets eliminated, Subin reported. Her voice was steady, professional. No distress signals detected. We're clear. Daiho realized he had been holding his breath. He let it out slowly. That was incredible, Mion said. That was necessary, Hyunwoo corrected. And it's only the beginning. Commander Vexstar will notice when these ships don't report in. He'll send more. Yunha was checking on the Luminar refugees. Most were terrified, their bioluminescence flickering like candles in wind. But Kian approached Daiho, his young face full of wonder. You are warriors, he said, like the ancient stories of the architects defending the weak. We're not. Daiho stopped. What was the point? They had just killed 3 ships full of living beings. Maybe they were warriors now. The Iron Wind docked with the Morning Star. Subin and Hyunwoo came aboard for a strategy meeting. Subin was tall and lean, with short hair and sharp eyes. Hyunwoo was older, scarred and calm. We need to reassess, Subin said. We got lucky here. The next fight won't be so easy. We need to find the other refugee ships, Mion argued. We can't just hide. We also can't take on an entire fleet. So what, we abandon them? Hyunwoo held up his hand. Nobody's abandoning anyone. But we need to be smart. We're 2 small ships against hundreds. Direct combat won't work. Then what will? Daiho asked. Information warfare, sabotage, guerrilla tactics. Hyunwoo looked at Miyeon. You said you can access their communication frequencies. Can you do more than listen? Maybe. If I had time and better equipment, we'll figure it out. Right now we need to move. This location is compromised. They spent the next 2 days playing cat and mouse with the hegemony fleet. The Morning Star and Iron Wind worked together, rescuing small groups of Luminar survivors and staying ahead of search parties. Miyeon worked constantly on cracking the hegemony communication systems. During one quiet moment, Hyunwoo found Daeho staring at the stars. You're doing well, the sergeant said. I'm terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Hyunwoo leaned against the wall. You want to know why I volunteered for patrol duty? Why I was out on the frontier instead of stationed somewhere safe? Why? Because I've seen what happens when good people do nothing. During the colony rebellions, I watched civilians die while soldiers argued about jurisdiction and rules of engagement. I swore I'd never let that happen again. But we're just 2 ships. 2 ships that chose to help when we could have run. That matters. Hyunwoo smiled. Besides, I've read the old legends. You know what they all have in common? What? The heroes are always outnumbered. Daeho laughed despite himself. That's because most heroes die. True, but the ones who survive change everything. 3 days after the first fight, Miyeon broke through the hegemony firewalls. What she found made everyone's blood run cold. Commander Vextar was preparing a final assault. He had gathered his entire fleet, 40 ships, and was planning to burn through the asteroid field systematically, destroying every hiding place until all the refugees were dead, and he was broadcasting his plans to the entire galaxy, bragging about how he would crush the legendary humans and prove they were nothing special. Jiwon watched the broadcast with fading light. This is the end, then? No, Daeho said. He surprised himself with the certainty in his voice. This is where we prove that legends can fight back. The tactical meeting lasted 3 hours. Subin spread star charts across the table while Hyunwoo marked enemy positions. Miyeon worked her computer, her fingers never stopping. Daeho stood in the middle of it all and felt the weight of 47 Luminar lives pressing down on him. We can't win a straight fight, Subin said for the 3rd time. 40 hegemony warships against 2 human vessels. The math doesn't work. Then we don't fight straight, Hyunwoo replied. He pointed at the star chart. Look at this region. What do you see? Daeho studied the map. Old satellite markers. Dozens of them. Left over from the early expansion, Miyeon added. When humans first explored this sector, we placed monitoring satellites in defense platforms. They've been dormant for 10,000 years. Can they still function? Subin asked. Maybe. Probably not all of them. Miyeon's eyes lit up. But if we could reactivate even a few, we'd have defensive positions, Hyunwoo finished. Force multipliers. Make the hegemony fight on our terms instead of theirs. Tae-jin, the Morning Star's engineer, spoke up from the corner. He was older than Daeho, quiet and methodical. I can rig power transfer systems, use our ship's reactor to jumpstart the old platforms, but I'll need time and access to each satellite. How much time? 2 hours per satellite? Maybe less if the systems aren't too degraded. Subin did the math in her head. There are 8 satellites in range, that's 16 hours minimum. The hegemony fleet will be here in 12. Then we work fast, Daeho said. Miyeon, can you plot the most efficient route? She nodded, already typing. Give me 5 minutes. Jiwon approached the table. The old Luminar had been listening quietly. What can my people do to help? Stay safe, Hyunwoo said gently. That's what we need you to do. With respect, Sergeant, that is not enough. My people are dying because we cannot defend ourselves. Perhaps we cannot fire weapons, but we can help in other ways. How? Kian stepped forward. The young Luminar had been shadowing Hyunwoo for days, asking endless questions about human tactics and strategy. We can repair systems. Our hands are more delicate than yours. We can reach places you cannot. Tae-jin looked interested. Actually, that might work. Some of those old satellite panels are in tight spaces. Small hands would be useful. Absolutely not, Subin said. We're not putting civilians in danger. We are already in danger, Ji-won replied. At least let us be useful while we wait to die. The words hung in the air. Daiho saw the determination in the old Luminar's glowing eyes, saw the same look on Kian's face. These weren't warriors, but they were ready to fight in their own way. Okay, he said, we'll take volunteers, but nobody goes anywhere without a human escort. Subin looked like she wanted to argue, then nodded. Fine, but if things go bad, the civilians evacuate first. They split into teams. Taejin and Kian took the Morning Star to the nearest satellite cluster. Hyunwoo and Subin took the Iron Wind to the furthest positions. Yuna stayed behind with the remaining refugees, setting up an emergency medical station. Daeho went with Taejin's team. He wasn't an engineer, but he could follow instructions and watch for hegemony patrols. The first satellite was a disaster. 10,000 years of cosmic radiation and micrometeorite impacts had reduced it to scrap. They moved to the second location. This one was better. The main structure was intact, though the solar panels were dark and dead. Taejin opened an access port and shook his head. The primary systems are gone, but the secondary backup might still work. It's going to take some creative wiring. Kian squeezed into the maintenance shaft before Daeho could stop him. His small hands worked quickly, reconnecting cables under Taejin's direction. 2 hours later, the satellite hummed to life. We got power, Taejin said. And yes, the weapon systems are responding. It's only got enough energy for maybe 10 shots, but it's something. 1 down, Daeho said. 7 to go. They worked through the night. Some satellites were beyond repair. Others came online with various levels of functionality. By hour 10, they had activated 4 defensive platforms. It wasn't enough. Hyunwoo's voice crackled over the radio. We've got 3 more online over here. That's 7 total. 7 against 40, Subin said. Still not good odds. Better than 2 against 40, Hyunwoo countered. Mion had been monitoring hegemony communications. They're moving. The fleet is entering the sector. ETA 4 hours. Everyone returned to the asteroid base, exhausted, dirty, running on stimulants and fear. Yunha distributed ration packs and medical stimulants. Nobody had time to sleep. We need an edge, Subin said. Something they won't expect. Mion looked up from her computer. Her eyes were bloodshot but bright. I've been analyzing their fleet composition. The hegemony relies on centralized command. Everything runs through Commander Vextar's flagship. So if we take out the flagship, the rest of the fleet loses coordination. They'll still fight, but they'll be confused, vulnerable. Hyunwoo leaned forward. Can we reach the flagship? Not with conventional tactics. Their shields are too strong and they'll have escort ships. Mion pulled up a schematic. But I've found something interesting. Their communication arrays create a weak point in the shield harmonics. If someone could plant a transmitter directly on their hull, we could feed false data into their targeting systems. That's a suicide mission, Subin said flatly. Not if we're fast. Hyunwoo studied the schematic. A small team. Get in, plant the device, get out. I'll go, Daeho said. Everyone looked at him. You're a cargo pilot, Subin said. I can fly anything with engines, and Mion will need to stay here to coordinate the defense systems. He looked at his sister. Right? She nodded slowly. Right. Then I'll go, Hyunwoo said. With Daeho. 2-man team, small and fast. Subin didn't like it, but she couldn't argue with the logic. They spent the next 2 hours preparing. The Iron Wind carried a small boarding pod, barely large enough for 2 people. Hyunwoo loaded it with weapons and equipment while Daeho went through a crash course in zero-gravity combat. The Luminar gathered to watch them leave. Ji-won pressed his glowing hand against Daeho's chest. The architects protect the weak, he said. But who protects the architects? We protect each other, Daeho replied. The hegemony fleet arrived like a storm. 40 warships in perfect formation, weapons charged and ready. Commander Vextar's flagship was massive, twice the size of any other vessel. His voice boomed across all frequencies. Humans, you have impressed me by surviving this long, but games end. Surrender now, and I promise you a quick death. Mion responded. This is the human vessel Morning Star. We reject your surrender offer. Then you will burn with the rest of these pathetic creatures. Maybe, Mion said, but we'll make you work for it. The battle began. The hegemony fleet advanced into the asteroid field. The old human satellites opened fire, their ancient weapon systems targeting enemy ships. The initial volley destroyed 2 hegemony vessels and damaged 3 others. Vextar roared in fury. Destroy those satellites, all ships, weapons free. While the fleet was distracted, Daiho and Hyunwoo launched in the boarding pod. They flew dark and silent, using the asteroids for cover. The flagship loomed ahead, its hull covered in weapons and armor. There, Hyunwoo pointed. The communication array. They latched onto the hull and began their approach. Hegemony crew members patrolled the exterior, but Hyunwoo moved like a ghost. 2 guards died before they could raise the alarm. Daiho tried not to look at the bodies. They reached the array. Hyunwoo pulled out Mion's device and began attaching it to the communication nodes. How long? Daiho asked. 30 seconds. Alarms blared. More guards appeared, weapons raised. We've been spotted, Daiho said. 20 seconds. Energy beams cut through space around them. Hyunwoo worked calmly, his hands steady despite the chaos. Daiho returned fire with a weapon he barely knew how to use. 10 seconds. A beam caught Daiho's shoulder. Pain exploded through his arm. He screamed and fell. Done. Hyunwoo grabbed him and fired their magnetic grapple. They shot away from the flagship just as a massive explosion tore through the communication array. Back in the asteroid base, Mion activated the transmitter. False data flooded into the hegemony targeting systems. Ships fired at each other. Friendly fire incidents multiplied. The fleet descended into chaos. Now, Subin ordered. The Iron Wind emerged from hiding and began targeting command ships. The satellites focused their remaining power on the flagship's engines. Commander Vextar's voice screamed across the frequencies. What are you doing? This is impossible. That's what you get, Mion said quietly, for underestimating legends. The battle raged for 6 hours. Daiho woke up 3 hours in, his shoulder wrapped in bandages. Yuna stood over him, her hands bloody but steady. You'll live, she said. The burn isn't as bad as it looked. The battle? Still going. Mion is directing everything from the bridge. You should see her work. Daiho tried to stand. His legs shook but held. He made his way to the bridge where his sister sat surrounded by screens. Her eyes moved constantly, tracking dozens of variables at once. Status? He asked. We've destroyed 12 hegemony ships and damaged 8 others. But we've lost all 7 satellites. The Iron Wind took damage to its port side. We're holding, but barely. She didn't look away from her screens. And more ships are coming. More? Mion pulled up long-range sensors. Other species have been monitoring the battle. Some are sending support to the hegemony, others... She smiled. Others are asking questions. On the communication channels, Daiho could hear multiple alien languages. The ship's computer translated fragments. Humans are real. I thought they were myths. Casualties are too high. The hegemony is breaking galactic law. We should investigate before choosing sides. Commander Vextar was screaming at his own fleet. Ignore the interference. Focus fire on the human vessels. But his fleet was broken. Ships moved erratically, some trying to regroup while others limped away. The careful coordination was gone, replaced by confusion and fear. Hyunwoo's voice came over the radio. We can end this. One more push. With what? Sobin demanded. We're out of missiles. Energy weapons are at 20%. We rammed the flagship. Silence. You've lost your mind, Subin said. Maybe, but look at the situation. If Vextar escapes, he'll regroup and return with more ships. We have to end this now, permanently. Ramming will destroy the Iron Wind, kill everyone aboard. Not if we evacuate first. Set the autopilot and get everyone off. Daiho understood what Hyunwoo was suggesting. Sacrifice the ship to win the battle. It was insane. It was also their only chance. Do it, he said. Mion looked at him. Daiho, we didn't come this far to let them regroup. Hyunwoo is right. End it now. The crew of the Iron Wind evacuated to the Morning Star, 18 soldiers and specialists, cramming into spaces already full of refugees. Hyunwoo was the last one off, setting the autopilot himself. The iron wind accelerated toward the flagship. Vextar saw it coming and tried to maneuver, but his damaged engines couldn't respond fast enough. The human warship struck the hegemony flagship dead center. Both ships exploded. The blast wave knocked nearby vessels tumbling. In the sudden silence that followed, the remaining hegemony ships stopped fighting. They had lost their commander, their flagship, and their will to continue. A new voice came across the communication channels. "This is Fleet Admiral Resh Kala, assuming command of hegemony forces. All ships cease fire and withdraw." "You're running?" Mion asked.
We are
reassessing the situation. The Galactic Council is demanding explanations. Other species are threatening intervention. This operation has become politically complicated. You mean you lost? A long pause. Yes, we lost. Another pause. The hegemony does not forget. We will return. We'll be ready, Daeho said, though he had no idea if that was true. The hegemony fleet retreated. As they left, other ships began arriving. First came 3 vessels from the Galactic Council, massive diplomatic ships broadcasting peace symbols. Then came warships from species Daeho didn't recognize, some to support the hegemony, others to oppose them. The quiet asteroid field became very crowded very fast. A diplomatic frequency opened. "This is Councillor Threshamar of the Galactic Assembly. We are attempting to contact the human vessels. Please respond." Daeho looked at Mion. She looked back at him. Neither of them had any experience with interstellar diplomacy. This is Daeho. I'm the captain of the Morning Star." "Captain Daeho, we have many questions. First, can you confirm that you are human? The species from the old legends?" "Yes, we're human. But we're not from legends. We're just people who got lost and found others who needed help. You understand that this incident has galaxy-wide implications? Humanity has been absent for 10,000 years. Your return changes everything. We didn't return. We were pulled here by accident. Nevertheless, you are here, and you fought the hegemony. That cannot be ignored." More ships arrived over the next few hours. Journalists from a dozen species, military observers, diplomats and officials. Everyone wanted to see the humans who had defeated the hegemony against impossible odds. Ji-won approached Daeho on the bridge. The old Luminar's glow was brighter now, restored by rest and hope. "The galaxy is watching," he said. "I know. What will you tell them?" Daeho thought about the question, about everything they had been through, about Hyunwoo's sacrifice and Mion's brilliance and the courage of the Luminar, who had helped repair satellites even though they were terrified. The truth, he decided, that we're not the architects from their legends. We're just people who made a choice. The spatial anomaly that had brought them here began to destabilize. Mion detected it first. It's collapsing. "If we want to go home, we need to leave soon." "Maybe in the next few hours. Then we should go," Subin said, "before we get tangled up in galactic politics." But Kian came forward. "Will you come back? The Luminar need guidance, help rebuilding." "We can't," Daeho said gently. "We're not architects or warriors. We're cargo pilots who got lucky. You are more than that. Maybe, but we're also just human, flawed and scared and trying our best." Daeho looked at the Luminar survivors gathered in the cargo hold. "You don't need legends. You need to be strong on your own." Ji-won touched his chest in that blessing gesture. "Then we will try. And we will remember what you taught us. That strength comes not from perfection, but from choosing to help even when afraid." Yoon-ha spoke up. "I'm staying." Everyone turned to look at her. Someone needs to help them rebuild. Teach them medicine and defense. "I volunteer." "You'll be alone," Subin said. "Cut off from humanity. For a while. But you'll send diplomats eventually, right? Once you report what happened here." Yoon-ha smiled. "I'll keep things running until then." Daeho wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in her eyes. She had made her choice. They said their goodbyes. The Luminar transferred to a council ship that would take them to a protected colony world. Kian hugged Hyunwoo's empty armor, tears running down his glowing face. Ji-won blessed each human in turn. "The legends say the architects will return when needed most," he said. "Today you proved that true. Thank you." The Morning Star and its remaining crew approached the collapsing anomaly. Behind them, the galaxy watched and debated and argued about what humanity's return meant. "Ready?" Mion asked. "As ready as I'll ever be," Daeho replied. They entered the anomaly. Space twisted. Stars streaked. Then everything snapped back to normal. They were in human space near the original shipping lane they had been following. "We made it," Mion whispered. "Yeah, we did." They limped toward the nearest human colony, their ship battered and scarred. When they arrived, authorities met them with questions and disbelief. The crew of the Iron Wind backed up their story. Mion's recordings provided proof. Within days, the human government began preparations. Diplomatic ships, military escorts, trade delegations. Humanity was returning to the galaxy, this time to stay. Deho went back to flying cargo. Smaller runs, quieter routes. He had seen enough excitement for one lifetime. But sometimes on long hauls through empty space, he thought about Jiwon and Kian and the Luminar survivors. About Hyunwoo's sacrifice and Yuna's choice to stay behind. About how 2 small ships had changed the galaxy. Mion called him one day 6 months later. Her face on the screen was excited. "You need to see this," she said, sending a file. It was a news report from the Galactic Assembly. The Luminar had established a new colony world and were thriving. Yuna had trained their first generation of medics. Other species were reaching out to humanity, wanting to establish relations. And at the end of the report, a quote from Jiwon: "The architects returned not as gods but as friends, and friendship is worth more than any legend." Deho smiled. Maybe they hadn't been heroes. Maybe they had just been people doing their best in an impossible situation. But sometimes that was enough. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders. Humanity had been gone for 10,000 years, remembered only as myths and legends. Now they were back, not as perfect beings from ancient stories, but as themselves, flawed, afraid, but willing to help when help was needed. And that, more than any legend, was what would define them in the ages to come.